You like to think that 21st century medicine is all sterile, high-tech, nanobots and artificial intelligence. What a touchingly naive thought. Pull back that white sheet and you'll see that advanced science is still dabbling in filth, like a medieval alchemist. Right now, your celebrated doctors are saving lives not with lasers, but with maggots that eat rotten flesh. They treat cancer with arsenic, thin blood with rat poison, and literally transfuse other people's faces into patients. We didn't invent a panacea, we just learned how to properly dose death and repackage ancient horrors into neat blister packs. From dynamite for the heart to hard drugs for infants. 33 barbaric methods that your fragile health still depends on. Let's cut them open. Fact number 1. Picture the surgeon of the future. He's sterile. He's as precise as a laser. He's perfect. Now forget it. The best surgeon for removing dead tissue is a blowfly larva. Yes, a common maggot. We're sold an image of gleaming operating rooms from the show House MD. But in reality, doctors place a handful of tiny white worms into a festering wound. This isn't a scene from a horror movie. It's an approved medical procedure. These creatures work with surgical precision. They devour only necrotic tissue. No scalpel is capable of such delicacy. They act like an army of microscopic terminators programmed for a single purpose: to destroy dead flesh. But that's not all. As they feast, they secrete a natural antiseptic. It disinfects the wound better than many pharmacy ointments. We've spent billions developing smart drugs, and the smartest drugs have been crawling in our garbage all along. Congratulations. Progress has come full circle and returned to the trash can. Fact number 2. You have an image of a vampire in your head. The noble Count Dracula, drinking the blood of virgins. Hollywood did a great job. Now meet his younger, more useful brother, the medicinal leech. This slimy, unpleasant creature is officially approved by the Food and Drug Administration. This isn't just folk medicine. It's a tool of modern microsurgery. Let's say your finger gets severed. A virtuoso surgeon reattaches it. The vessels are stitched. The bone is in place. But there's a problem. Blood flows in through the arteries but can't leave through the veins. Congestion and swelling begin. The reattached part turns black and dies, and that's when our little vampire takes the stage. It's placed on the finger. It latches on and starts doing what it does best: sucking blood. It saves the finger from certain death. We've learned to transplant hearts. But to save a single finger, we still call on a primitive worm for help. Just think about the surrealism of that. Fact number 3. 4,000 years ago, an ancient Egyptian was suffering from a headache. What did he do? He went to a willow tree and chewed its bark. He felt better. He didn't know the word salicin. He hadn't read any instructions or lists of side effects. He just knew the bark helps. Millennia passed. We built giant pharmaceutical plants. We synthesized acetylsalicylic acid. We gave it a beautiful name, aspirin. And now we sell it in blister packs all over the world. But what has fundamentally changed? Nothing. The principle is the same. A substance from willow bark blocks the production of prostaglandins. This relieves pain and inflammation. We've gone from chewing bark to effervescent tablets, but we're fundamentally treating ourselves with the same thing. Except now we have to pay for it. The Egyptian got his medicine for free, and we feed an entire industry that sells us repackaged willow. A brilliant business plan. Fact number 4. The Victorian era. An age of beautiful dresses and cruel customs, and arsenic. It was used everywhere. Ladies took it to make their skin pale. People used it to poison annoying relatives. Arsenic was synonymous with insidious poison. It became the main character in hundreds of detective novels. And now, the 21st century. Arsenic is back in business, but this time it's not in the hands of poisoners. It's in the hands of oncologists. Arsenic trioxide is an official drug. It's part of the treatment protocol for acute promyelocytic leukemia. It's a rare form of blood cancer, and this drug shows fantastic effectiveness. The deadly poison of the past has become a salvation for the doomed. It's like a script for a Quentin Tarantino film. where the main villain suddenly becomes the hero in the final act. Medicine just loves these kinds of plot twists. It takes pure evil and puts it to the service of good. Applause. Fact number 5. Brace yourself. This is where it gets truly filthy. China, 4th century. A man is suffering from severe food poisoning. The local healer gives him yellow soup. Sound appetizing? Don't be so sure. It's the feces of a healthy person diluted in water. The patient drinks it and recovers. Barbaric, you say? Unsanitary. Welcome to modern gastroenterology. Today, this procedure is called fecal microbiota transplantation, and it's the most effective treatment for a deadly infection. It's caused by the bacterium Clostridium difficile. It burns out the intestines from the inside. Antibiotics are powerless against it. But transplanting someone else's stool repopulates the gut with healthy flora. It simply displaces the invader. We've learned to edit genes, but to fight a bacterium, we use a method that would make a medieval alchemist blush. This isn't medicine. It's an intellectual surrender. Fact number 6. Before the invention of antibiotics, the world was a dangerous place. Any scratch could be fatal. How did people fight it? One method was silver. They would place silver coins in open wounds. They applied them to ulcers. It was believed that the noble metal drove away infection. Sound like a superstition? Think again. Today, silver nanoparticles are one of the hottest topics in medicine. They're added to wound dressings. They're used to coat medical catheters. They're infused into surgical gowns. Why? Because silver is a serial killer of bacteria. It doesn't poison them chemically. It acts as a physical destroyer. Silver ions penetrate the bacterial cell membrane. They literally blow it up from the inside. There's no defense against such a brute force attack. Bacteria can't develop resistance to it. Good old-fashioned magic turned out to be basic physics. Fact number 7. Bloodletting. Hearing this word, we imagine a charlatan. He opens a patient's veins for any reason. For a cold, for melancholy, for a broken heart. Phlebotomy became a symbol of ignorance and barbarism. All progressive doctors laughed at it. But he who laughs last laughs best. Today, bloodletting is the only method of treatment. It saves people with hemochromatosis. This is a genetic disease. The body cannot get rid of iron. It accumulates in the blood. The concentration becomes deadly. The excess iron poisons the liver, heart, and joints. And the only way to remove it is to drain some of the blood, literally. Patients regularly come to the hospital, and they undergo the same procedure that healers performed 300 years ago. Only now it's not called bad blood, but excess ferritin. It sounds more scientific. The essence is the same. Fact number 8. Honey. It's marketed to us as a healthy sweet, a grandmother's remedy for a cough, something cute and harmless. Ancient gladiators thought so too. They smeared honey on their wounds after battles. They believed in its healing power. And they were right, but not all honey is created equal. Modern research has introduced the world to Manuka honey. It's honey from the nectar of the tea tree. It's produced in New Zealand, and it has turned out to be a real nightmare for superbugs. It kills methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus. That's a monster that lives in hospitals. The most powerful antibiotics don't work against it. But some honey from the other side of the world does the job. How? It creates an aggressive environment in the wound. It draws water out of the bacteria. It contains unique antibacterial compounds. We were looking for a superweapon in laboratories, and all this time it was buzzing in beehives. Fact number 9. The 19th century. A person has a toothache, or a cough, or is just feeling down. What does he do? He goes to the pharmacy and buys laudanum. It's a tincture of opium in alcohol. Everyone drank it, from housewives to poets. It was given to infants to stop them from crying. Opium was the universal answer to any pain. Then we realized it was a terrifying drug, and we banned it. For a while. But we could never get rid of it completely. Today, its derivative, morphine, remains the gold standard for pain relief. Humanity hasn't invented anything better for severe pain, serious injuries, the final stages of cancer, extensive burns. In all these cases, doctors pull an ampule of the descendant of that very same laudanum from the safe. We've just learned to dose it correctly, and we've stopped giving it to children for a bad mood. And that is progress. Fact number 10. Electroshock therapy. Our imagination immediately conjures up scenes from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, a sinister mental asylum, a patient with bulging eyes. Sadistic doctors apply electrodes to his temples. The body thrashes in convulsions. A horrifying picture. Hollywood gave this method excellent negative PR. But what about reality? In reality, it's not so scary. Today, electroconvulsive therapy is performed under general anesthesia. The patient feels nothing. He's given muscle relaxants. His muscles are completely relaxed. There are no convulsions. There's only a controlled electrical discharge. It causes something like a biochemical storm in the brain. And this storm reboots the system. It is the most effective treatment for severe depression, when no pills help. When a person is on the verge of suicide, the old method from horror movies turns out to be the last hope. Fact number 11. Some drugs have a bad reputation, and then there's thalidomide. This isn't just a drug, it's a monster. In the 60s, it was prescribed to pregnant women. As a sedative and sleeping pill, it was considered absolutely safe. The result became one of the greatest tragedies in medical history. Thousands of children were born with horrific deformities. They had no arms or legs. Thalidomide became a symbol of pharmaceutical evil. It was cursed and banned. It seemed forever. But monsters have a way of coming back. Decades later, scientists discovered it had new properties. It turned out that it blocks the growth of blood vessels in tumors, and it stimulates the immune system to attack cancer cells. Today, thalidomide is a powerful agent. It treats leprosy and multiple myeloma. The killer drug became a savior drug, the irony of fate wrapped in a pill. So, do you feel like throwing out your medicine cabinet yet? Do you think your cozy world has turned out to be a minefield? Don't rush. That was just the warm-up. We've barely scratched the surface of the iceberg. It only gets more interesting from here. We will descend even deeper into the rabbit hole of pharmaceutical madness, where poisons become medicines and explosives save hearts. So buckle up and try not to lose your mind. Fact number 12. In old fairy tales, witches knew their herbs. They collected poisonous flowers and brewed potions from them to stop hearts. One such flower was foxglove, a beautiful but deadly plant. Just a few leaves could kill a grown man. But, as we've already learned, in medicine, the dose makes the poison. In microscopic amounts, foxglove extract doesn't kill. It makes the heart beat stronger and slower. 200 years ago, an English doctor noticed this, and he created a medicine based on this flower, digoxin. To this day, it remains an indispensable drug. It's used to treat heart failure. The old witch's poison is prescribed in every other cardiology chart. It's just packaged in a nice box now. Fact number 13. The ancient Greeks loved to eat and drink well. The result of such a life was often gout, the disease of the rich and gluttonous. The joints would become inflamed and hurt so much you'd want to climb the walls. How did they find relief? They used a plant called the autumn crocus, a very toxic flower, but it relieved the pain. 2,500 years have passed. We still love to eat well, and we still suffer from gout. And how do we treat it? That's right, with the very same autumn crocus. Only now we have extracted the active ingredient from it. It's called colchicine. It is the basis of most pills for acute gout attacks. Its mechanism of action is still not fully understood. But it works, and it works effectively. We've flown to space, but in the fight against the consequences of fatty food, we haven't come very far from Hippocrates. Our diet is a disgrace. Our treatment is a poisonous flower. Fact number 14. Some substances have had interesting careers. Take ketamine, for example. At first, it was an anesthetic. It was used for anesthesia in veterinary medicine. They used it to put horses to sleep before surgery. Then, it escaped from the stables to the dance floors. It became a popular club drug. It was loved for its ability to cause dissociative states. For the out-of-body experience, it seemed like a one-way street. But then ketamine's career took an unexpected turn. Scientists decided to try it in psychiatry, in microdoses, and they got a stunning result. Ketamine turned out to be a revolutionary antidepressant. It works almost instantly, unlike classic pills that need weeks. Today, a ketamine-based spray is approved for the treatment of severe depression. The journey from a horse tranquilizer to a cure for despair took half a century. Not a bad career path. Fact number 15. Snake venom. Since ancient times, it has been associated with death, but also with healing. The bowl with a snake is still a symbol of medicine. This is no accident. In ancient cultures, snake venom was used as a medicine. In small doses, of course. Today, we do the same thing, only on a molecular level. Scientists studied the composition of the venom of a Brazilian pit viper, and they discovered a substance in it that sharply reduces blood pressure. Based on this toxin, they created a whole class of drugs. They are called ACE inhibitors. It sounds complicated, but you definitely know one of them, captopril. It is one of the most popular hypertension pills in the world. Millions of people every day take a drug that is a synthetic relative of snake venom. They don't even realize that they owe their health to a poisonous reptile from the Amazon jungle. Fact number 16. Caffeine. For us, it's just a way to wake up in the morning. A cup of coffee is a ritual, fuel for office workers. But caffeine has another, lesser-known job. It saves the lives of premature babies. Infants born too early often face a serious problem. Their brains are still immature, so immature that they sometimes forget to breathe. This condition is called apnea of prematurity. Breathing simply stops, and if it's not started again, the baby will die. And what do doctors in the intensive care unit do? They give these tiny patients caffeine, the same stimulant from our morning cup. It stimulates their respiratory center, it makes the brain work, and not forget its main task. The history of caffeine began with medieval monks. They chewed coffee beans to stay awake during nightly prayers, and it ended in an incubator for newborns. Truly, the ways of the world are mysterious. Fact number 17. Malaria was once the scourge of humanity. It wiped out entire armies. Kings and commoners died from it. Salvation came from South America. For centuries, the indigenous people treated fever with the bark of the cinchona tree. It was incredibly bitter, but it worked. Europeans brought this medicine to the Old World, and they called it quinine. It became the main weapon in the fight against malaria. British soldiers in India had to drink it for prevention. To mask the bitterness, they mixed it with soda water and gin. Thus, the gin and tonic was born. Today we have more modern drugs for malaria, but good old quinine is still in service. It's part of the treatment protocols for severe forms of tropical malaria. And of course it's still added to tonic water, albeit in much smaller doses. So your favorite cocktail is, in fact, a historical medicine, with a slice of lime. Fact number 18. Imagine you're a farmer. You have rats in your warehouse. They're spoiling the grain. You buy poison. The package says warfarin. You sprinkle the poison. The rats eat it. And a few days later, they die from internal bleeding. Warfarin is an anticoagulant. It prevents blood from clotting. For rodents, this is fatal. Now let's move to a cardiology ward. A patient after heart surgery, or with a risk of blood clots. The doctor prescribes a blood thinner to prevent a stroke or heart attack. And what's written on the package? Warfarin, the exact same thing. It turned out that rat poison, in a carefully selected dose, is a lifesaver for millions of people. It prevents the formation of blood clots. It saves lives. It's a perfect example of medical cynicism. What kills pests heals us. The main thing is not to mix up the dosage. Fact number 19. Alfred Nobel, the man who gave the world dynamite and the Nobel Prize. He made a fortune on explosives. His factories produced nitroglycerin. It's an extremely unstable substance. The workers who handled it noticed something strange. They often had headaches, but those among them who suffered from heart pain felt relief. Their angina attacks went away. They complained to the doctors. At first, they didn't believe them, but then they checked. And it turned out the workers were right. Nitroglycerin powerfully dilates blood vessels, including the coronary arteries. It instantly relieves spasms and pain in the heart. Today, nitroglycerin is not just a component of explosives. It's a spray or a tablet under the tongue. It's the #1 emergency treatment for angina. A deadly explosive turned out to be a medicine that saves hearts from bursting. You couldn't write a better irony. Fact number 20. Activated charcoal. It's in every home medicine cabinet. We take it for poisoning, for bloating, for hangovers. It seems like something simple and unassuming, but in fact, it's one of the oldest and most powerful sorbents. It was used back in ancient Egypt. Thousands of years ago, people knew about its ability to absorb poisons, and nothing has changed since then. Activated charcoal is still the #1 tool in intensive care units. If a patient with acute poisoning is admitted to the hospital, if they've taken too many pills or some kind of poison, the first thing they'll do is pump their stomach and give them a huge dose of charcoal. It works like a sponge. It soaks up toxins, preventing them from entering the bloodstream. A technology that is thousands of years old is still saving lives in the 21st century. No nanofilters can compare to it. Fact number 21. LSD acid, a substance that became a symbol of the 60s counterculture. The psychedelic revolution, hippies, Woodstock. All of this is strongly associated with LSD, but it had another life. Before becoming a recreational drug, it was a medicine. In the 50s, psychiatrists had high hopes for it. It was used to treat alcoholism, schizophrenia, depression. Then it was banned. And for many decades, psychedelics went underground. But now they're making a comeback. Psychedelic therapy is experiencing a true renaissance. Studies are showing incredible results. Microdoses of psilocybin, mushrooms, and LSD are helping where classical psychiatry is powerless. They treat post-traumatic stress disorder in war veterans. They help cope with treatment-resistant depression. The forbidden fruit has once again become a key to understanding consciousness. Fact number 22. The history of science is full of accidents. The greatest discovery of the 20th century began with unwashed dishes. Alexander Fleming was not a very tidy scientist. One day, he went on vacation, and he left a petri dish with Staphylococcus bacteria in his lab. When he returned, he saw that mold had grown in the dish. And around the mold, all the bacteria had died. An ordinary person would have thrown out the ruined sample. But Fleming was a scientist. He realized that the mold was secreting some substance that killed bacteria. That's how penicillin, the first antibiotic, was discovered. It changed the world. It saved millions of lives. Today we have hundreds of different antibiotics. Many of them are much stronger than penicillin, but our good old friend is still in action. It remains the drug of choice for treating certain infections, for example, syphilis or strep throat. The mold from a forgotten plate is still on the front lines. So, are there any survivors? Does anyone still believe in the infallibility of modern civilization? That we have moved far ahead of our dark ancestors? If so, you're a very optimistic person, or you just weren't listening carefully, because we are continuing our tour of Dr. Frankenstein's medical office, and now for something truly familiar, something whose smell has haunted us since childhood. Fact number 23, Vishnevsky ointment. It's impossible to forget that smell, a mixture of birch tar, castor oil, and xyloform. This scent haunted our childhoods. Any scrape, any boil, and Mom would get out the jar of this dark, sticky substance. Modern doctors often criticize this ointment. They say it's outdated, that it creates a film on the wound under which anaerobic bacteria multiply, that it smells like hell. All of this is true, but there's one nuance. It still works. The birch tar in its composition is a powerful antiseptic, and it also irritates the tissues. This stimulates blood flow to the site of inflammation, and it speeds up healing. In septic surgery, it's still used to draw pus out of boils and abscesses. So the old smelly ointment from our childhood still has some fight left in it. Fact number 24. Baking soda, common baking soda. Sodium bicarbonate, it costs pennies, and it's in every kitchen. We use it for baking, we clean pots with it. Sometimes we drink it for heartburn. It seems like the most mundane and down-to-earth substance in the world. But it has a second heroic life. An intravenous solution of sodium bicarbonate is a resuscitation tool. It saves lives. Doctors use it for severe metabolic acidosis. It's a terrible condition. The blood becomes critically acidic. This can happen in kidney failure, in a diabetic coma, in certain types of poisoning. The body literally poisons itself with acid, and the only way to quickly save it is to inject an alkali into a vein. The same baking soda from your kitchen. It restores the acid-base balance and pulls a person back from the brink of death. Cheap, simple, and incredibly effective. Fact number 25. Fish oil. For many of us, this word is synonymous with a childhood nightmare, a disgusting oily liquid. We were forced to drink it by the spoonful. They said it was healthy. We grimaced, but we drank it. And now, we're grown up. And what do we see? Fish oil hasn't gone anywhere. It's just had a makeover. Now it doesn't pour from a bottle. It's packaged in beautiful gelatin capsules. It's not called fish oil, but omega-3 polyunsaturated fatty acids. It sounds much more respectable, and it costs 100 times more. But the essence is the same. Today, omega-3s are recognized as vital for health. They're needed for the heart to work, for brain function, to fight inflammation. A grandmother's nightmare has turned into a multi-billion-dollar dietary supplement industry. We've simply been taught to pay for what we used to run screaming from as children. That's marketing for you. Fact number 26. In 1817, a Swedish chemist discovered a new element. He named it lithium, after the stone from which he extracted it. For a long time, lithium did not find widespread use. But then its salts began to be added to drinks. There was a lemonade called 7-Up. Originally, it contained lithium citrate, and it was sold as a remedy for hangovers and bad moods. Then the lithium was removed from the soda, but it didn't leave medicine. It moved into psychiatry and took a special place there. Today, lithium salts are the gold standard for treating bipolar affective disorder. It smooths out mood swings, from mania to depression. But its most important property is something else. Lithium is the only drug proven to reduce the risk of suicide in such patients. The substance from a soft drink turned out to be the most powerful anti-suicidal tool in the doctor's arsenal. Fact number 27. The story of Viagra is like a joke. A pharmaceutical company was developing a new drug. It was supposed to treat angina and high blood pressure. The substance was called sildenafil. They tested it on volunteers, and they noticed a strange side effect. The drug had a weak effect on blood pressure, but it caused a persistent erection in the male subjects. The company quickly figured it out and realized they had struck a gold mine. Thus, a heart medicine became a medicine for erectile dysfunction, and it brought its creators billions. But here's what's interesting. They didn't abandon their original idea. It turned out that sildenafil works great for treating a rare and dangerous disease, pulmonary hypertension. That's when the pressure increases in the blood vessels of the lungs, so the famous little blue pill is still used for its old purpose. It's just that not many people know about it. Fact number 28. The Stone Age. Our ancestors didn't know metal yet, but they needed to cut meat, to process hides, and possibly to perform the first surgical operations. What tool did they use? An obsidian scalpel. It's volcanic glass. If you split it correctly, the edge is incredibly sharp. How sharp? An obsidian blade is 500 times sharper than a blade made of the best surgical steel. It cuts at the molecular level. The cells are not torn, but neatly separated. A wound made with such a scalpel heals faster, and it leaves an almost invisible scar. Think this technology is a thing of the past? You're mistaken. Obsidian scalpels are still used today. True, it's a very expensive pleasure. They are used in elite plastic surgery and in some areas of neurosurgery. The Stone Age technology turned out to be too good for the 21st century. Fact number 29. Cannabis, marijuana, weed. This plant has 1,000 names and a scandalous reputation. For some, it's a dangerous drug. For others, a symbol of freedom. But in all these disputes, we have forgotten the main thing. Cannabis is one of the oldest medicinal plants. It was used as a painkiller thousands of years ago. In China, India, the Middle East. Then it was demonized and banned. And now it is returning to medicine. Legally. Medical marijuana is permitted in many countries. It is prescribed to relieve chronic pain, to combat nausea during chemotherapy, to reduce seizures in severe forms of epilepsy. It turned out that our body has an entire endocannabinoid system, and the substances from this plant interact with it perfectly. The ancient medicine was just waiting for science to catch up to it. Fact number 30. Heparin. If you've ever been in the hospital, you've probably had shots in your stomach. That was heparin, the main anticoagulant in modern medicine. It prevents blood from clotting. It's used to prevent thrombosis. During heart surgery, during dialysis, it is a vital drug. Much of modern surgery would be impossible without it. And now for the question. Where do we get it from? Maybe we synthesize it in state-of-the-art factories. Not a chance. We still obtain it the old-fashioned way. From the mucous membrane of pig intestines. Yes, the main anticoagulant of the 21st century is an extract from pig guts. Synthesizing its molecule chemically is possible, but it's so complex and expensive that it makes no sense. It's cheaper and easier to slaughter a pig, so all our high-tech medicine rests on a product of animal husbandry. Enjoy your meal. Fact number 31. Belladonna. In Italian, it means beautiful woman. During the Renaissance, ladies would put the juice of this berry into their eyes. Why? To dilate their pupils. It was believed to give the gaze a languid and mysterious look. They were right. Belladonna juice contains atropine. This substance blocks nerve impulses, and the pupil really does dilate. But belladonna is a deadly poisonous plant. Even a few berries can kill. Today, atropine hasn't gone anywhere. Ophthalmologists still use it to examine the fundus of the eye, but it has a more important job. Atropine is in every soldier's first aid kit. It is an antidote to chemical warfare agents such as sarin or Novichok. These nerve gases kill by causing spasms in all muscles. Atropine relieves this spasm. The tool for female beauty turned out to be a salvation from chemical weapons. Fact number 32. Urea. Yes, you understood correctly. It's one of the end products of metabolism. It's found in urine and in sweat. It doesn't sound very pleasant, but our ancestors were pragmatic people. They used urine for skincare for centuries. The Romans, for example, whitened their teeth with it and softened their skin. Think that's barbaric? Then go to a pharmacy and look at the ingredients in creams for dry skin, for treating psoriasis, eczema, dermatitis. In most of them, you will find a component called urea. That's what it is, only synthesized in a laboratory. It is one of the most powerful moisturizers. It draws water to the skin cells and helps get rid of flaking. So, when you buy an expensive cream for your heels, remember, you are paying for a high-tech analog of what we flush down the toilet every day. Fact number 33. In the late 18th century, smallpox was a true curse. It killed 1 in 3 people who got it, and those who survived were left disfigured for life. An English doctor, Edward Jenner, noticed something interesting. Milkmaids who contracted cowpox never got the human form of smallpox. Cowpox was a mild illness for them, just a few blisters on their hands. Jenner conducted a risky experiment. He inoculated an 8-year-old boy with cowpox, and then he tried to infect him with smallpox. The boy did not get sick. Thus, vaccination was born. The very principle, infecting with a mild form of a disease to protect against a severe one, saved humanity. We have completely defeated smallpox, but the cowpox virus is still with us. Today, scientists use it as a vector, as a vehicle. They use it as a base to create vaccines for other, more dangerous diseases. The old cow is still on duty. So what's the bottom line? Our faith in progress is an illusion. We're going around in circles. We're just repackaging old knowledge in new shiny wrappers. and selling it back to ourselves at a markup. We take poisons, filth, mold, and drugs. We give them smart scientific names, and we declare it a breakthrough. But the truth is, nature has always been smarter than us. It created all these mechanisms millions of years before we appeared, and we're just picking up the crumbs after it and pretending to be the kings of creation. Let's stop fooling ourselves. It's time to admit we're not geniuses, we're just good compilers. We've learned how to Google in the recipe book written by evolution, and that is our greatest talent. If you want me to tell you one more, a 34th fact that will completely break your brain, let me know. In the meantime, go and check what your medicine cabinet is really made of. You're in for some surprises.